Breaking news. Nnamdi Kanu vindicated as Nigeria joins Somalia and others to top the hunger hotspot in 2024, declared by the United Nations. Hear the news in details. Wonderful people of of freedom all over the world, you are welcome to Biafra Unite channel /television this very moment. Today's date is of June 2024, and I have a breaking information for every one of you listening to my voice right now from where you are all over the world. Dear friends and lovers of freedom, I want you to pay very good attention to this very news because it's very, very important. I can assure you, my people, the prophecy of Nnamdi Kanu has finally come to pass. As the Zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom Nigeria has now joined Somalia and others to top the hunger hotspot list, and this very list has been made available by the United Nations. So without further ado, let us delve into the news and read in details. And as you can see, I will be reading from Sahara Reporters, one of the Zoo Gota media platform. And according to their title, they said, Nigeria joins Somalia, others on list of hunger hotspots likely to be soon hit by acute food insecurity, UN report. Recall that Nnamdi Kanu had already warned everybody to make sure that they get their Somalian passport or visa, because as soon as possible, Somalia will be even better than the Zoological Republic. He warned, and it is now happening in our own eyes. Although conflict remains one of the main drivers of food insecurity, the Joint Early Warning Report from WFP and FAO emphasized that climate shocks are responsible too, not least the still lingering El Nino. Data from the United Nations Humanitarian Aid shows that at least 18 crisis locations which are already experiencing food insecurity may experience an acute food insecurity if help is not delivered quickly. Which help? Oh? There will be no help, unfortunately. The report noted that since October 2023, Nigeria and some other countries have joined a host of others on the list of hunger hotspots where acute food insecurity is likely to deteriorate further in the coming months. Wow, further in the coming months. That means the hunger is currently doing press up. The ago can press up. Wow. They said, although many hunger hotspots are in Africa, fears of famine persist in Gaza and Sudan, where conflict continues to rage, fueling the regional risk of new hunger emergencies, warned the Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) and the World Food Programme (WFP). Once a famine is declared, it is too late. Many people will have already starved to death, said Cindy McCain, WFP Executive Director. Wow. In Somalia, in 2011, half of the 250,000 people who died of hunger perished before famine was officially declared. The world failed to heed the warnings at the time, and the repercussions were catastrophic. We must learn the lesson and act now to stop this hotspot from igniting a firestorm of hunger. The devastating hunger crisis underway in South Sudan is so severe that the number of people facing starvation and death there is projected to almost double between April and July 2024 compared to the same period in 2023, all in Africa. Tight domestic food supplies and sharp currency depreciation are driving food prices to soar. Compounded by likely floods and recurrent waves of subnational conflict, the report explained a projected further rise of returnees and refugees from Sudan is likely to increase acute food insecurity among both new arrivals and host communities. Chad and Democratic Republic of Congo, Myanmar, the Syria Arab Republic, and Yemen are also hotspots of very high concern. The report noted a large number of people in these countries face critical acute food insecurity, coupled with worsening drivers that are expected to further intensify life-threatening conditions in the coming months. Wow. Now, people are not even thinking of what is going to happen. You see, the way the media, the Nigerian media is part of this problem. Instead of them to come out and tell you what is going on, they will tell you, herders farmers clashes, herders farmers clashes. How can herders who are fully armed to the teeth with AK-47, AK-49, and so on, will clash with ordinary farmers who go to their farms with cutlass and other farming instruments? How do they clash? How do they clash? Can you fight somebody with AK-47 with ordinary cutlass? How do they clash? And you know very well what these bandits and terrorists are doing in the name of, herders, herdsmen. You know what they do? It is everywhere in the zoo, apart from here in Biafra land. Maybe they do hit and run once in a while, especially in Enugu State and some part of Ebonyi State. You see? So you cannot say things the way they are. You keep on peddling lies to confuse the gullible, to confuse even the international community, to let them know that nothing is going on, when you know that people are buying each and every single day in the hands of these terrorists that you call herdsmen. Have you seen what is going on in the zoo? Now, if they succeed in buying all these farmers, especially those in the northern part of the zoo, including the middle belt, I want you to tell us what is going to happen moving forward, especially in 2025. Now, since October 2023, the Central African Republic, Lebanon, Mozambique, Myanmar, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Zambia joined Burkina Faso, Ethiopia, Malawi, Somalia, and Zimbabwe on the list of hunger hotspots where acute food insecurity is likely to deteriorate further in the coming months. Although conflict remains one of the main drivers of food insecurity, the joint early warning report from WFP and FAO emphasized that climate shocks are responsible too, not least the still lingering El Nino. Although that weather phenomenon is now coming to an end, it is evident that its impact was severe and widespread. The report author insisted, pointing to devastating drought in Southern Africa and extensive floods in East Africa. Turning to the potential impact and looming threat of La Nina between August and February 2025, the UN agency's assessment is that it is expected to significantly influence rainfall. This could lead to a climate shift with major implications in several countries, including flooding in South Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia, Haiti, Chad, Mali, and Nigeria, as well as Sudan. Both weather phenomena could bring further climate extremes that could upend lives and livelihoods, the UN partner report warned, in support of calls for immediate humanitarian action delivered at scale to prevent further starvation and death. These data and the pressing call for action highlight the urgent need for international cooperation and rapid response to prevent further deterioration of food security in these critical regions. The window to avert catastrophe is narrow. The window to avert catastrophe is narrow. Did you hear that? And the world must act swiftly to provide the necessary aid and support to those in desperate need. Now, I want to appreciate the UN for this report, but at the same time, I want to ask them a simple question, because this report is coming from the United Nations. Now, since the United Nations have the power to come into a certain place and stop a crisis, since they have power to conduct referendum, since they have power to recognize and declare a new nation, and you know the reason for these crises we are talking about, you know the main reason for these problems, why can't you go into these places and stop these problems and make life better for people? You are here talking about giving them aids. You want to give them aids. You want to supply, you want to give them free food. So you care. United Nations, you care Do you really care? You talk about South Sudan, you talk about Sudan, you talk about Zoo, Nigeria, you talk about other places. So you care. And you know the problems in these places, especially the Zoo. Let us leave South Sudan, out of this conversation, because they are now free. The problem they have is eternal. Their leaders, their political leaders just have to come together and reach a compromise in order for them to move the country forward, because they are now free. They are free from Sudan. What about the Zoo? You know the problem we have in the Zoo. So you want to bring aid, you want to bring food to the Zoo. Let them eat and continue fighting and buying themselves. United Nations, you are not pure. You are not pure at all. You are not pure. I can look at you face to face and tell you that you are not pure. You are wicked. You are evil. If what you can do, the only thing you can do is to bring aid to these countries. You know the problem in Syria. You know the problem in Myanmar. You know the problem in even in Gaza. You mentioned Gaza. You know the problem in Gaza. What are you waiting for to come in and settle this matter once and for all? What are you waiting for, United Nations? Unbelievable. This is the kind of wicked world we live in. Thank you, my people. To salo numozia and make it go viral.